Nevin, what's going on?
So basically, my question is how to deal with grief question. I lost my son, firstborn son, here about five years ago in 2015, and
Man, I'm so sorry.
it was a stillbirth. And then we did have a healthy little girl a couple years later, and then here 2 years ago, I lost my next son to a complicated, messed up pregnancy.
Man.
Anyway, my wife is ready to move on and try again, but I guess it's one of those things where I'm just ready to hang it up on pregnancies.
Yeah, I'm pretty hesitant, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, dude, thanks for sharing that. I know that's hard to talk through that. Tell me about your two boys that passed away. What were their names?
My firstborn, his name was Jackson.
Yeah.
And the one that just passed 2 years ago is Hudson.
Hudson. Beautiful, man. Tell me about your daughter.
Tavia, she's my little firecracker. She's about 4.5 right now.
Yeah.
Into everything.
Just as she should be, man. I have a firecracker 4-year-old too that's into everything, man. How did you and your wife grieve these losses?
Well, the first loss was an absolute shock.
Yeah.
Everything was progressing normally at 38 weeks. There got uneasy when we didn't feel movement. Went in for an ultrasound and no heartbeat. And so that one we took hard.
Right.
And then, but then with Hudson, we knew early on in the pregnancy that there was some major issues. And so we were kind of able to, over the course of the pregnancy, we knew there was a very slim chance of survival for the child, but we wanted to give him every chance.
Yeah.
And then when he was actually born, his abdomen was open. It hadn't closed up, and he actually bled to death before they couldn't do anything. And the only response I got out of him was when he was born, I took his hand and he kind of squeezed my finger a little bit. And his heartbeat, he never took a breath on his own. His heart beat for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and then, that was...
You still feel that squeeze every once in a while, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So after the fact, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months later, that grief is still with you. What does it look like in your wife, and what does it look like with you?
Well, I'm not sure exactly how I'm supposed to answer that.
Did y'all just go back? Did you go back to just the way things were? Was your wife just automatically planning? All right, well, here's the next thing, or did you start drinking a lot, hanging out with your buddies? Did you find it hard to wake up? Like, what did being sad? What did owning this just suck? What did that look like in your home?
Well, for my wife, I think she probably took it the hardest at the beginning, but yeah, I think she probably did hang out with her friends a little more.
Okay.
For me, I've had a little bit of a tough time. I have a couple close friends, but we've kind of drifted apart over the last year or so, and I'm not really close with anybody at the moment.
Okay.
But
so here's the thing: few things can disrupt and fracture a family like mismatched grief or comparative grief. And sometimes somebody just shuts it down for months when they lose somebody. When they lose a pregnancy, when they lose a parent, when they lose a spouse, they shut it down. Other people go into meaning-making mode, and they just start creating businesses and things and getting fit, and they deal with it over the next 4 or 5 years. And some people fill in the blank, some people do something else, some people do something else. But if your wife went and met with people and grieved and wept and wrote letters and talked and met with a counselor, and you just went to work, and then you just went to work, and then you just went to work. And I'm just making this up, man, okay?
No, you're hitting it on the head.
Okay. At some point, I would step back and say, she's going to be way further down the road of not getting over it. You don't ever get over this. That's why I say you're going to feel that squeeze for the rest of your life. And I'm glad you are. It's a powerful, important memory. But she's further down the road to healing than you are, which makes her wanting to hit the gas pedal again a lot more likely, and your foot is jammed in on that brake because you've been in that car and it's wrecked twice. And I'll be damned if I'm going to do it again, right? And she's been in that car and it wrecked twice. And then she met with people and slowly took driver's education again and got in a car with somebody else driving for a season. And now she's ready to start driving again, right? And so here's the thing. You, my brother, this has nothing to do with whether you're going to have another kid or not. That's down the road. What you have to do is decide, I'm going to heal. Not forget, not toxic positive. It's all great. No, dude. But you're going to have to decide to let Jackson and Hudson go be with the angels. And you are going to have to exhale and own the fact, and this is hard, brother, okay? Imagine me and you sitting like having a drink on the back of a tailgate, dude, not just some dude on the radio, right? So I'm not talking at you, I'm talking with you here. You're going to have to decide, I'm ready to let those two boys go. They're always going to be in my heart. I'm always going to feel that squeeze, but I got to let them go and I got to heal. And more work and more busy and more activity and more protection and bigger walls and thicker bricks and all that stuff isn't going to solve that until you decide you're going to do that. And you and your wife shouldn't be talking about next steps until you've both talked through what grieving feels like and looks like and what you all have dealt with and what you haven't dealt with. And then talk about where you are, and then talk about your son's names and where they happen to be, and then be honest about your feelings, then be honest about the medical challenges, and then you're in a place to talk about what comes next, right? And right now, it doesn't sound like you've healed, man.
No.
And if you heal, hey, here's the thing, Devin. If you heal and land on a place that I don't want any more kids, you're allowed to do that, and that's okay. And then what I would tell your wife is, if she is hell-bent on having a fourth child, then it's not about what's best for this kid, because she's going to be bringing a kid in a situation where dad's uncomfortable with this. It's going to be about, I need to have a kid, I need to have a kid. My guess is that either after a healing process, you would be ready to get back on the wagon, or after a joint healing process together, she's going to realize that more kids aren't in the future. But right now, y'all are living parallel different lives. And there's, like I say, this is how marriages just drift apart over time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and if it was just those two, because, I mean, that's the only two of the deaths we've been traumatized with since my son's death. So, I mean, her brother died, her sister died from cancer, my mom died from cancer.
Jeez.
It's been a absolute emotional roller coaster trying to figure out how to navigate this whole death loss.
Right.
And obviously, with my son, it's a lot personal.
Hey, Nevin.
In my own family unit.
All of those are personal, right?
Well, I know. I misspoke. But yes, what I mean is it's in my own family unit that I live in with every day.
Yeah, that was your boy, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was your boy. And you're exactly right, man. And the last thing your brain and heart and body wants you to do is to get yet another relationship that means something to you that you might lose.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just your body taking care of you, man. It's just trying to keep the pain out because it hurts and it hurts and it hurts. And at some point, enough's enough, right? And that's the question I always want to have for your wife, too. Right? That's where a great marriage counselor that you guys got to go see about grief, okay, is, do we want to have another kid because we think that's going to help with the ache of this loss? Or are we now healed and still and ready to add to our family? And those are two different things. Because what I'll tell you is, another child is not going to take away the pain and the loss. It will give you joy and chaos and mania and all the stuff that kids bring, right? Fun and bananas and no sleep, all that, it's good. But it will also not make the bad go away.
Yeah.
And so when couples race out to have another kid, I always want them to go, hey, just breathe. Just breathe. Because it's not going to take that loss away. Well, the other side of it is when folks are like, nope, never doing this again, never get back on the horse again, never, 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 never. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Nevin. I've been in this boat too, right? And I was similar to you. We lost several pregnancies, one after the other. And I said, man, I don't know. And my wife said, I don't know. And then slowly we began to grieve. We had some hard conversations. I didn't know what was in her heart. She didn't know what was in mine. We finally, and I do this for a living, dude. And we finally sat down and we finally got about the business of healing. And then, as we were on the road to creating a new tomorrow, we had to create a new world, our world, because our current world was ash. Then we created something new and said, yeah, now we're ready. And then that's how we got Josephine. And it's awesome. It is awesome. But again, that's just our journey. Every journey is different. Brother, you got to heal. Y'all aren't in a place to be asking, when are we going to have another kid, or should we have another kid? Y'all are in a place to look at one another. You just got out of the ocean. You both saved one another, and you looked at each other and said, are you okay? And are you okay? And one of you is going to say, I'm not okay. The other needs to go, I'm not either. And then you got to be about getting well. And you got to be about coming back together. And you'll have to build a whole new marriage. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And it's hard and it's exhausting and it's frustrating. That's where y'all are at. And then when you see the sidewalks laid, you see some walls going up, that's when you can look at one another with that look and say, you down for going again? And now you can have that conversation. But you're just not there yet. Okay? I'm so grateful for your heart. Thanks for sharing this, man. I know it's a hard thing to talk about. It's a hard thing to share. Get about healing. Get about healing, brother. And just whatever it's worth, man, you're worth getting well. You, old man Nevin, you're worth getting well, brother. And I didn't believe it either, but I was worth it. My son was worth it. My wife was worth it, and you were too.